the Cinema Beast podcast. I'm Tyler.
I'm Monica.
And today we are looking at The Last Night in Soho.
Well, nice dual speaking there. I don't know why we did that. That was not planned.
We're cooperating now, guys. It's happening the first time in our lives. So first, before we get into Last Night in Soho, we got to talk about some trailers. And, we've been to the movies a lot recently, and we know every trailer, and it's kind of unfortunate.
We are seeing every trailer. We have seen Eternals so much that I can, just tell you the shot for shot what the trailer is.
Fall collection. IKEA. And
I've had enough. And Morbius. I'm oh my God.
Matrix.
The Matrix one especially. Every single
It's also super funny because the first shot of Morbius looks like animated. I keep thinking every time they show it, it's going to be Sing 2.
Me too. I'm like, oh, Sing animated. 2. And then I'm like, oh, no, you mean Matrix. But yeah. It's the Matrix trailer that looks animated at first. No, I was like, what? But yeah. But anyway, so since we've mostly seen all the same trailers before every movie, we're going to talk about a new trailer that got released this week. And that is Lightyear.
Ooh, Disney, we're back.
Disney's back. Yeah.
Is this Pixar?
It is Pixar.
Okay.
I looked it up because at first I wasn't sure if it just Disney was taking it, but it is Pixar.
Okay. I
was not sure about this because I'm like, we don't have to do everything with the Toy Story franchise, but it actually looks really good.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you because I'm like, I hope that they don't get the impression that we want every single toy of Toy Story to have their own movie.
Mr. Piggy Bank, the movie.
Yes,
Mr. Potato Head.
Let's go.
Slinky. I would actually like a Slinky one.
I'd like a Slinky one, that's true.
Or Rex. Maybe not. Squeaker.
Just a penguin movie.
Yeah.
It's just an unidentifiable penguin movie. They just say that they're making a penguin movie, and at the end it's going to be a big twist.
Oh, yeah.
It's all
what if they released Woody's Roundup, like the TV show, on Disney Plus?
That would be sweet. I would actually enjoy that.
I would actually like that. But we don't want all of it, but some. Maybe some.
I was thinking, I was like, well, Woody in a movie maybe wouldn't do so good, but I forgot that it was a TV show. Yeah, because I was trying to think of the name because I knew there was something in there.
Yeah, that's what they should do. But anyway, Buzz Lightyear movie looks so good.
I was very surprised because I thought it was just going to be basically like Buzz Lightyear, like what it's based off of. But I thought it was going to look like Toy Story, and it is a completely different art style.
Yeah, I don't even think it's supposed to be. I think Buzz Lightyear, the toy, is based off a real guy. That's what they're saying? Yeah. And so this is the movie about the real guy.
Yeah, which is also odd because Toy Story takes place in our world.
Yeah.
But there's also giant space stations.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening, but we'll figure it out. It looks good. Buzz looks pretty hot.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. So I'm in class, right? I'm in class at college. I'm just chilling, and I have tweet notifications from Monica turned on. And I'm just look down at my phone, and I see Buzz is so hot now. And I'm like, well, I guess the Lightyear trailer came out. So then I checked my phone and I was like, yep, it did. And I was like, why?
Well, with Chris Evans voicing him, they have to make him hot. That's
true. Also, they gave him hair, which is something we've never seen before.
I always thought that Buzz's purple helmet cover thing was his hair.
Oh
it wasn't until a couple years ago that I realized, but it still wasn't very clear to me. But yeah, him having hair was interesting.
Yeah, but it looks really good. This looks like a new. Yeah, it was just a teaser.
Yeah, so we don't really know too much, but I'm only fears that they're going to make it too serious, but I feel like their initial teaser trailers are always super serious, and then they're usually mostly just comedy and funny. So I think it'll be good.
Yeah, it kind of gave that impression on some of the things, but it does look like it's a completely new concept, which was what I'm excited about, because it's not oh, hey, we're redoing Toy Story or we're redoing something else, but it seems like a fresh idea.
I hope it comes out in theaters and not just on Disney Plus. I don't remember what I saw, but I just kind of feel like the Disney Plus only content doesn't hit the same. Yeah. I don't know.
As much as I love Luca, and Raya, but this one seems more epic than those two. Those two are especially Luca. Luca's more grounded than some of the other Pixar movies.
Luca, I don't think would have done as well in theaters. I don't think it would have hit the same. But Soul, I think, should have been in theaters. Soul was definitely something I wish I had seen in a theater.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with that. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Lightyear. I think it's gonna be very, very cool. I think it's gonna be a new step for Pixar.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I'm excited about that.
And we're Disney fans, so we're gonna see it. Even though Monica hasn't seen like some of the
just
new
one,
stuff.
Just Ryan. That's the only one I haven't seen.
We also still haven't watched Cruella.
Yeah, I know.
And our mother really, really wants to watch Cruella. We just keep forgetting.
No, we just keep ignoring her. We'll do that. We'll do that this week.
maybe we'll like mention it on the next episode.
We'll follow up if we watch that. But anyway, do you want to go ahead and get into Last Night in Soho?
Yeah, we got a lot to say, so why not? There's not going to be any spoilers right now, but we will. Monica is going to give a quick synopsis of what you would like find out from like looking on IMDb or from the trailers.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a spoiler-free, just general plot description, so you know what we're talking about. So basically, it is about this girl named Ellie, Eloise, and she moves to London to go to fashion school, and she kind of sees the dead somehow. She has visions of the dead, of the past. It's not really clear throughout the movie, but basically that's what's happening. And she ends up living in this room where she sees the girl who previously lived in this room and basically sees her life. The girl, basically she sees this girl in the 60s. This movie is set in modern day London, modern day Soho. She sees this girl's life from 1960s and she's kind of living as her, or living through her, and kind of seeing her life unfold. And some dramatic stuff happens. But anyway, that's basically what's happening. And the girl she's seeing is Sandy. So it's Ellie, like, kind of seeing Sandy's life unfold when she sleeps. So, like, in her dreams.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that, like, they kind of advertise it. They kind of advertise it as a horror. Is it labeled a psychological horror?
It is labeled psychological horror.
And it's the least horror movie that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree, because, like, our mom wanted to see it, and then we were like, oh, but it's a horror movie, and she's like, you know what, never mind, I don't really want to be scared, but...
She would have been fine.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really classify it. It's probably more of a psychological thriller, I would say.
Yes, 100%. Mm-hmm. I wasn't, like, scared at any of the points in the story, or in any of the effects or anything. Like, they were creepy, but, like, it wasn't, like, horror. There was one jump scare. I heard people say that there's a lot of jump scares, and there was one. Yeah,
there was one that got me. There was a couple of them that, like, maybe there were definitely jumps, but they weren't, like, horrifying.
They weren't, like, standard horror movie jump scares, like, where it's, like, they're coming at you at the screen.
Anyway, it was written and directed by Edgar Wright. He is known for Baby Driver. Yeah.
I love Baby Driver.
And Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I've actually never seen either of those. I've heard so many good things about Scott Pilgrim.
Wait, you've never seen Baby Driver?
I've never seen Baby Driver, no.
Oh my god, Baby Driver is so much fun.
I know you say that. Everyone loves it, but...
There's so many, like, stylistic things in that movie as well. Like, that really, like, amps up to Edgar Wright's, like, directing. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to see Scott Pilgrim vs. the World because I've seen clips and it looks, like, very, very stylized. And I probably will watch it soon because I've been meaning to. Because I just watched Sin City, which is a adaptation of Frank Miller's comics. And it was really, really cool seeing the comics come to life. And that's how Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is. So I kind of want to see more... adaptations from comics to film, so I'm probably gonna look into that. But no, he's done great stuff from what I've heard.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll get into the movie, what we liked about it. I think it was really well cast. I think Thomasin McKenzie, who plays Ellie, I think she did a really, really good job. She's in Jojo Rabbit. I was just looking.
Oh, is that the girl? Yeah, it is.
That's the girl. Okay, that adds up. She was in Jojo Rabbit.
She's an Old?
Leave No Trace. She's an Old.
We haven't seen that, but...
those are the main ones I can see right now.
Yeah, no, she was great in Jojo Rabbit.
100%. That all adds up.
That makes so much sense.
But anyway, she did a really good job. And of course, Anya Taylor-Joy was in it.
She was popping off right now.
I don't know. She has such a unique look about her that she's, like, interesting to look at. You know what I mean? Like, you want to see her more. Mm-hmm. I think she's a really good actress as well.
Yeah, I mean, she did great. She was in Split, right? That was her?
She was in Split, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's what I thought.
Queen's Gambit.
Right. That's also the thing. But no, like, she was really good in those movies. Or at least in Split and Glass. She was really good.
Yeah.
That's what I remember her from. Or not. Yeah, Glass. That's what I'm thinking of. But yeah, no, the casting and the acting was really good. I thought there were, like, moments where, like, the acting kind of fell flat. at times, especially in Anya Taylor-Joy's performance. But I think that was the point.
Yes, I agree. I thought that at first, but I do think that was the point.
I think she's supposed to be like kind of just like more like.
I think as
dead-faced.
that she's just like her soul, like she kind of dies on the inside. But I think Thomas and Mackenzie did a really good job. I loved the setting in the 60s. I loved all of the costuming, and I loved the hair and makeup.
Yes,
I thought that was so good.
But you would think so. Ellie's character is a fashion designer, but like honestly, I don't think that many of the outfits in the movie were that extravagant. You know what I mean? Like there was the one pink one that's like the iconic one that.
I think all of Anya Taylor-Joy's were really good. I think that was kind of the point.
Yeah. But it's like you would think that there would be more of that, and I guess that's the point. Is that especially in the modern day, like everyone's kind of drab and dreary. Like everyone's kind of like dulled down almost, and it's not like that. But like in the 60s, I guess everything is kind of more extravagant. That's what the point is.
Yeah, I also think it was just supposed to show that she was romanticizing the 60s so much.
That makes sense.
So I think that was kind of the point.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Is at the very start, it opens with Ellie, and she's in this like newspaper dress, and I was like, that's really cool. So she's gonna do like inventive stuff with dresses, or like with gowns and stuff, and then like she never does.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of upset about because I thought she was going to be like more into like that stuff, but I think that's the point because if like once she moves to London away from her home,
she's
not accustomed to it, so she doesn't stand out as much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, at the very start, she gets ridiculed for making her own stuff, which would be a reason for her not to wear her own stuff.
Right.
That makes sense. It just clicked in my mind. So. Other things that I liked. It's kind of sad because I'm having a hard time.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
It's
hard to get into it without plot stuff because I think plot stuff is part of what the issue was. I guess so. One thing that I would say for like the general audience, sometimes you're in the mood to go see a film like cinema, and then sometimes you're in the mood to see like a movie. And
I've always separated the two.
Yeah, and I think that this was marketed as like a movie, and I would argue that you should go into it with the adamant it's going to be like artistic cinema. There was a lot of there were a lot of creative shots. There's a lot of I like the use of music. The use of music was really, really good.
I do like the soundtrack.
The soundtrack was good. The way they used the music was good. To where it was like, I know, sorry, I use these film terms, but diegetic, to where it was like sometimes it was in her world, and then sometimes it would take her out of the world. I think the use of music was really good, and they used the 60s music to just completely take you into that world.
100%.
And so you kind of got to go in and out of the world as Ellie went in and out of the world. That was really good. And of course, I like 60s music anyway, so I thought that was nice for setting the vibes.
They did use it very well to like reflect like, hey, you're in this world now. This is what you're seeing through Ellie's eyes, which is perfect for what was needed. I
agree.
There was something else that I was going to mention, but it just the effects. I can't go into like very, very deep like analysis on the special effects that were used, but the effects were great. Like
for example, one thing you see this in the trailer is the use of mirrors is really prevalent. So a lot of the times Ellie would be looking through the mirror and seeing herself as Sandy, or vice versa, or anytime Ellie looks in a mirror, she sees someone else or something else, and that was really cool. I like when movies use mirrors really well. Like Candyman was another movie that used mirrors really effectively. But I thought that was really cool. It kind of made it interesting. It kind of made you keep an eye out.
There were so many like places where mirrors were like hidden, and like you could see like the effects that they were putting on that. Also, there's a scene where like there's not many cinematography wise, there's like a few shots that like stood out to me. There's one shot in one of the dream sequences
at the very beginning when it's like circling around her. I mean, this is kind of classic, like, oh, I'm in a new world type, where it's, I don't know what that's called. You know, when it's like they're in the middle and it's circling around them, the camera circling around them in like one long shot.
I don't know what the actual term is, but I just call them one shots.
Yeah, but the one shot at the beginning when she first enters the 60s, I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, there was also, it was kind of cool because a lot of one shots these days are like fake one shots where it's like something will pass in front of the frame and it will obviously like cut to like a new scene. And in this scene, basically Ellie is trading places with Sandy while she's dancing with this man. And while that's happening, there are some times where it's like a fake cut and like he passes through the screen, and as he passes, she then like her face starts to like form. But there are other times where it's like very obvious that they just actually are doing it in real time, and the other ducks out of the way, and then the other one comes up, which I thought was a really, really cool detail.
that was cool. I like that scene a lot. That's what basically adding on to that. The first half I thought was really good and captivating. I would say I enjoyed the first half of the movie completely.
The start for me was a little bit slow, in my opinion.
I liked the start because I kind of thought the start was like reminding me of just like a classic teen movie.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. I don't know. I think that's like a movie I'm comfortable watching. And I think that it did a good job of making you feel comfortable. Like, oh, I'm just watching like another classic like teen goes to college movie. Like, what's going to happen?
That
like, what's this sort of drama? And then it kind of leads you deeper and deeper into this messed up world. But so I did like that. I just thought the first half was much more enjoyable. And as you're getting into the world, but then as we'll get into the plot stuff, and I think this happens with a lot of quote unquote horror movies or even psychological thrillers. The plot gets too intricate, too complicated. They try to do too many twists and turns, what have you. And then it kind of takes you out of the movie completely because you're sitting here thinking like, what is going on? Or how does this make sense?
No, that's a very good point about like the first half. The first half is really good because it introduces you into the world. Like there's two worlds. There's the 60s and then there's the modern day. But as that happens, each scene that you're in, like the 60s, nothing new is introduced. It's the exact same world that you're always in. So it's like you just get used to it. So it's not extravagant anymore. It might be extravagant to Ellie, but you need to do something in those scenes to then make it extravagant to us so we relate to Ellie more.
I agree.
If you do that, then like I will feel more involved, especially in the second half.
Where I won't be like bored. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I did get mega bored at like certain points.
Just like, all right, like we've seen the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, like we can wrap it up.
Yeah. So I guess if you guys, I guess we should determine if it's buzzworthy or not for the people.
Oh, this is hard. This is a hard one.
You know, I'm gonna go ahead and say it is buzzworthy. Ish. I wouldn't necessarily like rush to the theaters to go see it, but if you like have a free night, you want to go catch it, or maybe wait. I think this would be a good movie to stream at home. Yeah. Like once this is available for streaming, or I'm not sure if it is available now. I don't think so. I would check it out, but
for this week, I think it's buzzworthy.
Yeah.
In general, it's like a slight buzz for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not too fond of this movie.
Yeah.
I've heard great things about Ron's Gone Wrong.
I know, and it's like we keep not seeing that to see other movies, and then we're being disappointed. Like, I wish so bad we would have seen Ron's Gone Wrong instead of Dune.
Yeah. So like, there's like other stuff. Like I still haven't seen No Time to Die. I know you probably don't care about that, but
you still haven't seen that? No. Oh no, that sucks.
Addams Family 2 just came out. I know.
I
haven't heard any opinions on that, but I the first one was really good.
I heard it was cute. I've never seen the first one though.
But yeah, like this week, Last Night in Soho is buzzworthy, but like it's like on the pinnacle or like at the cusp of like not being buzzworthy for me.
Next week when Eternals comes out, I haven't seen Eternals yet, but I'm probably gonna go ahead and guess that probably should just see Eternals instead of seeing Last Night in Soho. Yeah,
exactly. If you already missed out on Last Night in Soho and you like MCU, like go see Eternals. Like there's no reason not to.
Anyway, want to get into some spoilers?
You want to do scores first?
Oop, forgot. Yeah, I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10.
So I was
thinking 6.5, but I don't know.
I don't
know if I'd really want to watch it again a ton. So probably a 6. Exactly.
My last. I'm trying to think of what my last week. Last week we saw Last Duel was the last thing we saw.
You gave that an 8 or 9. Yeah.
I gave it a 9.
That was so good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was really good. But Dune.
I give that a 4.
Yeah, I gave it a 4. I'm probably going to give this a 5.
Okay.
This is like middle average. Like there's things that are really good, but like they could have been better. Like everything that was good could have been better. And then everything that was bad was bad.
I'm going to give it a 6. I am close to a 6.5. Maybe I'll give it a 6.5. I really thoroughly enjoyed the first half, but it did lose me in the second. They had me in the first half, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, so I don't know. They had me in the first half, but I don't know. I'm going to stick with my 6 because I did enjoy it more than... I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just everyone.
It's average.
It's average. It is average. I would completely agree. They were selling it as some like unique, amazing.
Yeah, they kind of sold it as something like completely like a new idea.
And I just think it was just a bunch of use of old ideas.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like it was like old ideas shuffled into like one idea, and they're like, "This is new." But yeah, Monica had told me that a bunch of people were saying this was like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, all the reviews I was reading, and I'm in like a Facebook group for like people who are in AMC A-list, and so I like to get their opinions because they're all people who see just as many movies as us. Everyone was like, "This is a 10 out of 10. It's so good," and I just don't. I was expecting something really good. Maybe that's my issues. I keep getting like, but I'm not the type of person that when something's overhyped, quote unquote, that I'm like, oh, I'm automatically not gonna like it. I usually agree with the hype. I'm not that type of person.
But like me, I didn't like. I thought it was gonna be good, but I didn't come in with any expectations. Like to thinking it was gonna be big because Monica only told me this like before we were seeing the movie, and it just was, It just didn't like stick for me.
Let's talk about why we didn't like it. So we're probably going to get into some plot spoilers here. So if you're going to see the movie and you don't want to get spoiled, go check it out. If you don't care about getting spoiled or whatever, keep listening and come back and watch it, or come back and listen if you haven't seen it yet. Anyway, what were some of your qualms about the plot and such?
So
qualms.
I'm just going to go out and say it. The twist was bad.
Oh my God. And honestly, you cannot advertise for some like big twist that's so obvious. I don't know. And I'm pretty good at getting twists in movies a lot of the time, but I do like to be a little bit surprised. But you're right. As soon as the beginning, as she said, "No men after 8 p.m." I was like, Sandy.
Yeah, exactly.
Daddy?
Because like if you see the if you've seen the trailers and you know like what the story's about, you know going into it that Sandy's a big part because you haven't been introduced to Sandy yet when you meet the old lady. But if you know that, because I'm assuming if you don't know that, you go in, you meet the old lady, you forget about the rule she made, and then you would see Sandy and you wouldn't put 2 and 2 together. But you put 2 and 2 together pretty quickly if you know what the story is about Sandy, like you know what's happening. And so it was less of like, I was still like shocked about the twist, but not in a good way. I was when she showed up, she said that, I was like, is that going to be Sandy? And then I was like, man, I really, really hope it's not. I hope they don't go with it.
I should say I had a slight thought when she said that no boys after 10 p.m., but I didn't really think of it. I wasn't until when she has the man over at her house and over at the room, and the woman is so upset when she's like, "Did he hurt you?" That's when I thought, oh, that must be Sandy. And I thought the same thing. I was like, I kind of hope it's not, because like, why would she be seeing her if she's not dead? So I don't know.
Yeah.
That was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's like kind of gets muddied up. And then, so like after a while, I'm like, okay. And then she like invites Ellie into the room, and I was like, oh, please tell me no. And then she's flipping through the mail and it says Alexandra, and I'm like, they didn't. I was upset because I was like, it's such like an easy twist to just be like, hey, the person that we've been with this entire time is Ellie, or is Sandy. But it's done in such a way that the old lady doesn't matter. Like, she's barely in it. And she doesn't provide any like emotional support for Ellie, so she has no stake in like Ellie's like success or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I read a review that was just on TikTok that made a good point that the entire movie is about, basically the entire premise of the plot is that like men kind of suck, especially men in like the entertainment industry, or men like, you know, or men will take advantage of young women, and then it immediately turns her into the villain.
Yeah.
So it kind of but then you're all of a sudden she's like, I'm gonna kill you, and then you're like, oh no, this woman's evil, and then she's like, no, like I will save you, and I'm like, but she tried to kill you. Yeah. So
it just kind of gets like,
yeah, you're right. It's just muddy. The whole thing got so muddy.
In making that twist, you completely destroyed the message of your movie.
Yes.
So like the whole movie you go through, there's this random guy that's following Ellie, and you think it's Jack. You think it's the dude who basically set Sandy up to be like, to be in the sex work.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, you're like, man, this guy really sucks. And so you're rooting for Ellie to figure out that dude is Jack. And so you know that, like in your mind, you're like, that's Jack. It's so obvious. Then it's revealed, then she like figures it out. And then it's revealed it's not Jack. It's some cop who is still like involved in the sex work. So he's still like not painted as like a good guy, even though he never did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually painted as the best of the people who were involved in that. But that shocked me. But in doing that, the man is no longer the villain.
Exactly. And then
like the point is that the men are the villain. The men is what is destroying Ellie or Sandy's dream, and then in turn that's what's destroying Ellie's dream.
Mm-hmm.
But you make like the problem is that Ellie goes through this movie, all of her problems stem from the flashbacks of Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you tell me that the men are the problem when Sandy is the one causing every single problem?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a forced, like, it's forced onto us very early about, like, the men idea by showing, like, the random taxi driver Ellie encounters, and he's, like, a horrible human being. Then, like, the next person is also, like, very, very creepy and stuff. And it's just like, okay, I get where you're going. But now Sandy's the villain.
Yeah.
It just kind of went in opposite directions, and I just was not on board with it.
Yeah, the other issue I had with the whole movie was that, I mean, the entire basis of the movie is that Ellie can see the dead, and it is so unclear how or why that's happening. They briefly mentioned at the beginning, like, she sees her deceased mother in the mirror, and she's like, are you seeing your mother anymore? She's like, oh, you must be don't have panic attacks again or something. So you're like, oh, like, what? You're kind of like, what happened? Yeah. And then all of a sudden she's just like seeing dead people, but sometimes she is Sandy and sometimes she is just observing Sandy, and you're kind of like, and then sometimes at first she has to be asleep to see the ghosts, and now she is awake and seeing them all the time. And she nearly kills like 3 different people, actually kills one guy, and they're all like, she's still a good person. And I'm like, she should probably be in a psychiatric unit.
Yeah, it just like...
And then, I don't know, I guess her whole motivation for, I guess she thought Jack killed him, so that makes sense. But her whole motivation is like, we have to catch this guy that's killing people. And it's like, why? I don't know. It sounds wrong, but like, that was like 50 years ago, so I'm not sure why, like...
Yeah, and they don't give any basis to be like, oh, he's still doing it. Because if they would have done that, that would have been...
And like, obviously, if you think there's still a murder out there existing, like, you should probably...
Not pursue them personally, but like still like pursue that avenue.
Yeah.
But
and then one more comment. Sorry to steamroll you here, but basically... You're right. So the whole movie, like, the men are supposed to be the villain, even when it comes down to her talking to the cops, and the female cop is the one that pulls her aside and is like, listen, I understand you. Except for her main bully in life is a woman.
Yes. Oh my God.
And this is the most stereotypical, like, mean girls type bully. And like, people just don't act like that. And girls can be mean. Girls are mean and girls are drama, but girls don't like act like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But it would have been, it was easy setup to make a man the bully. But like, I guess they like wanted to separate like all of the sexual like harassment from like just her being an outcast. You know what I mean? Because if they would have made it a man, they would have made it a male bully to like sexually harass her. and like be like creepy and stuff, which is the point of the movie. So I don't understand why they didn't go that route, but like they wanted to also show that she was an outcast, but like
yeah,
why?
I just think there was ways to have her not fit in without having people be like downright evil to her. I think sometimes people like just don't get along with other people. I don't know. And then she's the one that drugs her drinks supposedly, and then at that point I'm like, did that happen or not?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like
not clear.
They allude to it, and then it's like, did she did that happen, or is she just going crazy? Because you never say
I guess
it.
that's the idea. But anyway, like, so she's the one drugging her drink, and I don't know.
She just has no stake in whatever. Like nothing matters. She's just there to be like, oh hey, this one person is rude to her, so she's an outcast. Like, it's like
exactly
a dumb setup.
And basically the entire movie, there's like 30 minutes of shots of like the camera like being shaky or like there being like multiples twisting and being disorienting, and her just running and screaming. Like there was seriously like 10 minutes straight where she was just running and screaming with the camera going all crazy, and I was like, oh my gosh, someone end this.
Just stop. Like the scene where she's like chasing Sandy, which I was laughing at in the theaters because she's like probably about like 30 feet away from Sandy. Sandy's walking and she's running, and the next shot Sandy is 40 feet away and she's still running. Like, what happened? So that way you lost that space. Like, how did you let that gap happen?
I don't know.
It was so funny.
When she was like backwards crab walking up the stairs, sprinting away from Sandy, I was like, oh my God, turn around and just run. Like, why are you walking backwards?
I know, because they acted like she got injured, but it was on her hand.
I think and then she was crawling on her hands. It wasn't making sense. And then like, I wasn't sure if it was like the poison in her body, but then the poison was just like,
the poison stopped.
We're done here. And actually, we're not poisoning you anymore.
Yeah, like the poison ran out. Oh no, that's unfortunate. Like, it's just, there is so much. Also, like, so at the end, as she's like being chased by Sandy, all the hands of the men like bust out of the walls and the floorboards, and then it's like, oh my God, they're trying to like do bad things to me. And then they were like, help us. And then I'm like, okay, but how? And then they're like, kill her. And then like, you're like, oh, okay, so it's just gonna be like a cliche like horror movie ending, like she kills the girl, their souls are set free, and then it's like, no. I believe like you deserve this hell that you've created. Like it was just so like all over the place.
Yeah, I think bottom line, my biggest gripe is some stuff, when we talked about this a little bit, some stuff was so complex. And I think if you're going to have stuff be complex, then everything should be, for the most part. Like, I could have dealt with her, like, the way she interacted with the dead. Like, there wasn't really any cohesiveness, but that would make sense. Like, for that to be complex. Or her character was complex. Sandy's was complex, but the other stuff was so simple. They were just caricatures of people or general ideas. Yeah.
John is literally like, he's just like, I have this undying faith to Ellie now because
John had literally 2 conversations with her about a can of Coca-Cola, and then was just like, I will protect her with my life. Yeah, and that was not making any sense.
Like, it just did not. Like, he was literally just like that one-sided. He was just like, they should have gave him time to actually be a character instead of just being, oh, hey, there's one man that's really good, but he's the only man. Like, give him a reason for being good instead of just being like, oh, hey, he's good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they would have given him character and been like, this is why, like, maybe his like dad was abusive to his wife, to his mother, that would have been a cool like thing for them just to add. But like, as of right now, he's just like a nobody, but he's also like vitally important to having Ellie survive or something.
Yeah, it didn't really make any sense. But whole time I was like, why is he still like even with her at this point? Like
she almost stabbed freaking someone.
Yeah.
Also, how did it end up that it was the freaking bully that she almost stabbed? I thought it was going to be the guy, which I thought would have been way more interesting because it would have made sense. Like, she's leading her to then kill like the men in life. Yeah. But like, it didn't end up happening. But like, that is so simple. But then everything dealing with the mom was overly complex and it went nowhere. Like, why is the mom such a vital symbol in this movie when it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Like, I think that's supposed to be introducing you to how she can interact with the dead, and how like her interacting with the dead is like been damaging her whole life. But they didn't get into any of that as to how or why that happened.
But I'm not talking at like just the beginning, like the end where she's like, my mom is proud, and I know my mom is proud. I'm just like, okay.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't establish enough of a relationship with her mom to explain why that would mean anything to us.
Like, it was just used. Yeah. Like, and then like the other thing that was kind of upsetting to me is that so her mother committed suicide. Mm-hmm. While that has like no bearing on like the mental illness and that's like referenced, it's basically just used as fuel for bullying, which is like not like a good idea in my mind. It's like the way that they introduced that, they were like, oh yeah, she cut herself and died, and then it was like, oh, Ellie's gonna do it too. Like, it just like went like to like weird places that I just was not like okay with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In the end, pretty much everything was oversimplified, I think. I mean, Sandy and Ellie's complicated relationship with men. I think they rely too much on caricatures of people. Like, I don't think that men that are rapists or Johns or pimps or whatever you want to call it, whatever they bad thing they're doing, they're not just like caricatures. They're like, well, let me get that little girl, and like, you know, they're like, I don't know, they're not like evil they're not always evil, monstrous like caricatures of human beings. They're human beings that seem good and then do something bad. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
does that make sense?
No, 100%. Like,
they're not always like old creepy men. Like, well, let me get a little piece of that little girl. Like,
exactly. Like they were. I like realistically, there would be like young men.
Yeah.
In that sex work as well, but like the way that they have it so like basically they show it as Sandy's dream is destroyed by these men. Yeah. Who are forcing her to do this. Where that's true. Mm-hmm. That's true. Like, I mean, obviously, Jack, or is it? Right. Yeah, Jack is forcing her to do that, and then the other men are feeling it. But they portray it in such a way where it's like almost as if the men know that she's not accomplishing her dream, and they're specifically doing it. Like, they're using her. You know what I mean? Right. Which I felt like it wasn't genuine. Yeah. Because if they would have made, like, it's basically portrayed as the men are doing this on purpose instead of just being, hey, I'm in this business and you're another one of... Right. Like, it's just, like, it's portrayed in a way that didn't really fit with, like, reality. And it's supposed to be based on, like, how men are bad in today's world. And it's just not realistic. Yeah. In my opinion.
Yeah, none of it really made a ton of sense. I also just think, bottom line, at the end of the day, like, you can't kill like 100 people and people not notice. I was just like, so she's just like serial murdered. I mean, I get it, they were bad guys, but she's just like serial murdered like 100 people, and they were just like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just crazy. They all just disappeared. Like, this random town in London. Yeah, everyone's just going missing. And they also implied that they're in the floorboards and in the walls.
It would smell so bad.
But if you remember at the beginning of the movie, she said that there was garlic, an overwhelming smell of garlic, and that's the only thing I could smell. I thought I kind of picked up on that. They never referenced it, but if that's what they were going for, I think that was a really, really cool idea.
And she said that in the summertime it smells, so you have to keep all the plugs closed. Remember, so that makes sense.
So they kind of explained it a little bit. So I like once they implied that they were in the floorboards, I was like, when they smell it, and then I was like, oh, garlic, and then I was like, okay,
that makes sense.
I'm kind of vibing with this. But nothing else in the movie was like that. So
yeah, it wasn't the worst movie ever. It definitely wasn't the best. And I can only hope that Eternals is better, because I feel like we've had some bad ones. Last Night, of course, is really good, but you know,
Last Duel.
Yeah, I keep thinking you're calling.
You said Last Night, like Last Night.
Last Night. So no, Last Duel was obviously really good, but
yeah, that's the best one on.
That might be my favorite. That's my favorite of the year so far. It was so
funny because it's like before we started this podcast, we had seen some bangers, and like not like huge bangers, but like still ones that we were like really, really genuinely like excited about, and we were like, all right, this is cool. I'm glad we saw this. And then like 3 movies in a row, or like 2 movies in a row, we were like, all right, guys, yeah, we're a little bit done. And then we're like, oh, sweet, we're picking up with Last Duel. And then we're like, okay, this is okay, I guess. But I've heard bad things about Eternals. It's the lowest.
That's what I've heard too. I haven't heard good things either.
Lower than Thor: The Dark World.
Oh. I think Marvel's just relying too much on their name. I think they're doing the same thing that Disney's falling into, and they're falling short on their content because everyone's going to see it anyway just because it's Marvel. And I think this one, my prediction is that they're gonna rely on the casting too much to save them and not actually enough on an actual good plot.
Yeah, which is why I love Shang-Chi so much.
I have not seen that one.
The only name in Shang-Chi was Awkwafina. And everyone else was like, Simu Liu, if I'm pronouncing that correct, he used to be an actor or a model for stock photos.
I'm screaming.
There are so many memes of him in stock photos. Like everyone found every single stock photo he's ever been in, and it's so all funny. Like him in like office clothes and stuff. It's so funny. But like these are random people. They're not like big names.
Like Angelina Jolie. Like holy crap. Like
Salma Hayek.
Yeah.
Like these are big names, and so Shang-Chi did a great job. Like the story and the plot of Shang-Chi is amazing. It's also visually beautiful. Where everything in Eternals looks the same.
I know.
It looks dull.
I agree.
And the plot doesn't seem that cool. And the villain looks like a giant CGI monster, which is never really that good of a villain.
Yeah.
So I'm very worried about this one.
I agree. So we'll see. We'll probably see it. That one might not be out a little bit later than our usuals. We try to put these out by Tuesday at the latest, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get a chance to see Eternals this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, everyone's busy every week, every day.
Great.
So probably a week from today, you'll probably get the Eternals episode. Sorry to go through all that with you guys, but yeah. So a week from today, you'll probably get Eternals, and I was gonna say I think we should try and see French Dispatch if we could. Some people think it's the best movie of the year.
Dang,
but I watched the trailer and I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be nominated for Oscar, so we'll probably be watching it during award season.
That was my thought because I was like, the big movie that weekend was Dune.
Yeah.
And so I was like, maybe we'll just see Dune instead of French Dispatch, because French Dispatch was supposed to come out a while ago. I'm pretty sure. The trailer came out a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember that you sending it to me.
Yeah, I sent it to Monica. I was like, this looks really cool. This is probably gonna be Oscar. And so I was like, we should see it. And then it never came out. And then of course it lined up with Dune, and we were like, well, we have to see Dune. And then I wish we wouldn't have seen Dune. But
damn you, Timothy.
Timothy Chalamet. Curse you. Curse you, Zendaya, honestly. It was not Timothy Chalamet. The false advertising of Zendaya.
That was upsetting. She's like on all the main posters, and they're like, actually, no. Yeah. You tried it.
You thought. So yeah, next week will probably be Eternals. So stay looking forward to that episode, and
follow us on Instagram. We just started a Twitter. I started a Facebook page. Email us with any comments or leave us reviews anywhere you listen to your podcasts. We love your feedback. And thank you guys so much for listening.
Please rate us. Whatever you honest opinions you have, please tell us how we can improve. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Give us your honest ratings because we want to improve. We want to do what you guys want. We're content creators now.
I know. Podcasting life.
So yeah. Thank you guys for listening.
Bye.
Bye.